After seeing the successful transition of The Last of Us from a video game to a TV show, it got me thinking, what would the GOAT of television look like as a video game?
I am the danger.
There have been a lot of game/movie or show adaptations to video games and vice versa. Some have been good and some not so much. And I fully realize that a bad adaptation of Breaking Bad could ruin its reputation slightly, possibly even more than that. But I think if it's done right and with some help from some bigger companies, it could really be something. And sorry if I do sound a little weird, I'm slightly sick right now. And of course, you probably guessed it, are gonna be some spoilers for Breaking Bad.
Hey, I know you. He was there when I got busted. He's with the DEA.
No.
You rata snitch, motherfucker! Run, Mr. Right, run!
First idea I thought could make for an interesting Breaking Bad game is sort of a choice-based. I would prefer a combination of the Walking Dead Destinies and the Telltale games. It could play out as a good experience for the Breaking Bad fanatics and answer a lot of questions people, and myself included, have thought about. What if Gus killed Walter in the desert? If you don't play your cards right, he might end up dying. What if Walter outsmarted Jesse and Hank in the end? What if Mike wasn't injured while Walter was trying to kill Gus? I really don't think he could have done that. And another one off the top of my head, let me think. What if Jesse got killed at the end of season 1, you know, like it was firstly intended? I think this last one could be an interesting aspect, but it would also contradict one of my lines later on, so scratch that. In the case of the new worst game of the year, The Walking Dead Destinies, it could create a wide variety of endings and storylines in the game, where some characters could replace either Walter or Jesse as the main characters or second playable character. I personally think combining one of these crucial aspects with the Telltale games would create a great game, because in most Telltale games, pretty much all of them, you can change the way people think and interact near you, or even talk to you, building up relationships or tearing them down. The one ship that fascinated me always is Hank and Walt's, because throughout the duration of the show they always play this cat and mouse game where Hank is so close to finding out what Walter was doing but looks the other way, not being able to imagine someone like Walter being someone like Heisenberg. That's where the choice options could come into play and maybe make Hank realize, wait a minute, he's the guy I've been chasing all this fucking time. Oh my god. And he could have done that so much sooner. Of course, in this Breaking Bad game, you could play as either Mr. White or Captain Cook.
Gatorade me, bitch!
Because at the end of the day, they are the front runners of the show. I mean, they could make them both playable and experience their POVs at the same time, similar to what GTA 5 has done, but I would prefer it with only one. As I said a moment ago, with these what ifs, the case for it could be played out with Walter dying, then taking control of Jesse, and the other way around.
WW. I mean, who you figure that is, huh? Woodrow Wilson? Willy Wonka? Walter White?
You got me.
Before diving deeper, I want to address something that some of you might be thinking. There has been a Breaking Bad adaptation of the show released before. Breaking Bad: The Criminal Elements was a mobile phone that came out in 2019, but shut down the following year due to barely any fanfare. To be fair though, even this YouTube parody, oh my god. I might have to go in the fucking bathroom on the microphone. Even this YouTube parody is better than this game in any shape or form.
Run.
The producer of Breaking Bad said that they really tried making a game adaptation more than once, with one being for PlayStation VR, which he had to say this about the following years. There were a lot of people hours poured into that. Making a video game is damn hard. It takes years and millions of dollars, especially when you're trying to break new grounds with VR. It never came to fruition though, which is a shame. But he was rather more vocal on an idea that many of us have had, probably, a GTA type Breaking Bad game. And this is a very logical option, as the world of Breaking Bad's Albuquerque potentially has a lot to show. Vince Gilligan really wanted a GTA clone, as even though he's not a gamer, he said, but how can you not know Grand Theft Auto? But the sort of hilarious thing on this matter is that he had no fucking clue as to what company even owned the Grand Theft Auto franchise. Gilligan revealed that he got to a point where he wanted to ask Rockstar Games if they would do a DLC or spin-off for Grand Theft Auto based on Breaking Bad. Even though him not being a gamer and getting lost in the terms, the desire for a Breaking Bad video game adaptation is and was always there, which I think a DLC for GTA Online with Breaking Bad would have been great marketing and experience-wise. Marketing because it brings in the money, and experience-wise because it would generally give us a bit of a smile on our faces. You know, you just had to get Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul to voice Jesse and Walt, but I would also fancy Giancarlo to appear as Gus in it. Not gonna lie, after all this happened, probably him being the only reason most people gave a shit about this fucking game. So back to the GTA clone idea, what would a Grand Theft Auto themed Breaking Bad game look like? I personally feel that with Rockstar's game design, if they were to help with the making of the game, would potentially later on become very stale quickly. Because following the story of the show again with some less important plot cutting wouldn't be the worst idea, but pretty basic. Playing in the POV of Walter and Jesse would become repetitive. Mike Ehrmantraut would be the best choice if we're still thinking about this fun, low-life, crazy shooting game, because he's not only one of the most intriguing characters and best written ones in the show, but he's a former cop and a current hitman or slash henchman that does some of Gus's dirty work. He's incredibly combat skilled, aiming, tactic and fighting wise. He's pretty much an older but better version of some of the GTA protagonists, you name them if you want. We don't see much of his POV throughout Breaking Bad's run, except for the last season where they formed this Bermuda love triangle between Walt, Jesse and Michael Jackson. And unfortunately, if you know, you know. I have one word for it. Short-lived. You know how 6ix9ine said, rang rang. Don't get me wrong, I know in the core of the plot, since season 3 he's always been extremely important, because he's the pillar of Gus's operation. Without him, we've all seen how everything just went to shit. But maybe my idea wouldn't really work out. I guess taking some other picks instead of Mike should be discussed. For me, Hank comes up in mind, but him and Mike are really just polar opposites of each other. Hank is a good guy. Usually in these kinds of games, you mostly play as either an anti-hero or a bad guy. See what I mean? Mike fits these criteria pretty good. He's not evil like Gus or Walt, but he's not a good guy either. And, you know, for Gustavo Fring, I don't really see how he could be digested into the protagonist. Although he goes through a lot of shit and he's an actual badass at the end of the day, he doesn't take on his enemies 1v1 in the show, usually having a trick up his sleeve or his men. Not using guns and shit like that is kind of a deal breaker for me. With him being very tactical, it kind of drags him out of the equation. But back to Walt and Jesse, I suppose. I personally don't think it could work out, because with these two, the only other type of game that might Telltale suggestion is this Naughty Dog blockbuster game linear story, you know? And I don't really want to talk about it in this video because I think the room for details and changes is pretty shallow. There is still one more way they could make it work outside of Mike, creating a whole new character from the ground up, because I don't think anyone wants to see Tyrus or Victor as the protagonists. Just me? Yeah, I didn't think so. But the flaw I see with making a whole new persona is fitting it in the Breaking Bad universe. It gets pretty hard when you take in consideration how many things happened in the span of 5 seasons, and connecting the character to any of the existing ones is a big and hard task, but maybe Vince Gilligan would find a way. Even though it's been 10 years since the show has come to an end, people still dream about a game set in the Breaking Bad universe. You can find on YouTube people who have done concepts for this certain thing, and some, I gotta say man, they just look beautiful. With some proper help from big companies, who knows how it could turn out. But on a serious note, a Breaking Bad game will unfortunately never be. Just like Vince Gilligan said to the public, you gotta make it great, execution is everything. And that we shouldn't hold our breath, because it won't happen. Thank you for watching my video. I don't usually say this, but a like and a sub would really be helpful. And I guess that's it. I'm out.